The Hero Cam Spotlight feature focuses on a real-life hero who is doing something to make the world a better place. This week's guest is Dr. David Anderson, East Coast president of Master Media International.
I think that's really neat to hear, Dr. Anderson, that you came from a background where you weren't necessarily involved in media. You were a pastor, but you found out about this organization. And tell those folks that are watching specifically what Master Media International does and the duties of your job, how you interact with some folks that many of our audience would be familiar with, some very famous names, as you mentioned.
Sure.
What do you do for Master Media?
Well, boy, a lot of different roles that I play. One of them is meeting one-on-one with people of the media. A lot of times it's a lunch or it's a dinner together or even a breakfast together. In fact, we've had breakfast
Have
one or two
indeed.
times. And it's there that I see my role as just being to build relationships, to be available. And I guess the word chaplain is the word that kind of fits, that I hope that in some way I could minister spiritually to those that I'm in contact with. My meetings take place with people of just about every different persuasion spiritually. I pastored as a Presbyterian for many years, but I pastored to people from just about any background of life. So we're not set with one denomination or even one of the different faiths. So it's reaching out to people with the love of God, to people of every different background.
What surprised you the most in getting to know people in the industry?
Well, I think part of it has been finding, you have this image of people who you see on television that immediately, for us, they're a different world apart. Once you get to know people, we're all the same, and we all are fighting the same battles. We're dealing with the same things in life as everybody else is, and so I think that that's a part of it. And those struggles are just as real for them as it is for anyone else.
Mm-hmm. What is your thought and view on some of the positive television that we've seen lately? For example, the Oprah Winfrey Show, some of the morning television shows. You often hear from people, oh, the news is nothing but bad news. Mm-hmm. But there are some really quality programs right now that are trying to bring positive news to people, like Oprah Winfrey. What are your thoughts on that?
I can watch what she is doing, and I can see that she really has a heart for wanting to make a difference in a positive way, to encourage people to love and to forgive. And I think that's wonderful, because the power of the media is just such a tremendous power that we have. And certainly God has put her into a place where she wields awesome power in the media world. And the fact that she wants to use that power for good as she sees it, it wouldn't necessarily always be exactly the way I would see it, but I just have to say I have great admiration and respect for that. And more power to her and to others who would seek to use the media for positive, uplifting purposes.
You've heard the saying, character is who you are when no one is watching. And we're going to bring cameras out and film people where they're put in situations where somebody needs a good Samaritan. Somebody's in need, and let's see how the public reacts. Are they going to help the person, or are they going to walk on by? What do you think about that, about seeing human nature at work, if people will help their fellow man or not? What do you think about that?
This is exactly what we need to be doing. This is putting the media to good use, using the power of media for positive purposes. And I can't help but think when I envision this program in my own mind and what's being done, I think back to years ago, one of my favorite programs, Candid Camera. So I remember the Candid Camera shows with Alan Funt. Boy, that ages me, doesn't it? But what a terrific show. And this is kind of a new take on it, and putting Candid Camera was basically for laughs. But now here's taking and using an idea, but expanding it over to doing something positive with that idea that Alan Funt used simply for entertainment purposes, and using it to inspire people to do good. Mm-hmm. That's terrific.
I think we may be pleasantly surprised too. I think there are enough good people in the world that want to help, and it'll be exciting to see and be encouraged by those people that do help out. Also, you can't argue with a reward of $1,000.
$1,000 sounds good to me.
That's nice. We could all use that nowadays.
Yeah.
And then the second part of the program being what we are doing right now, which is the Hero Cam Spotlight feature, a way that maybe you watching, or if you know of someone, nominating somebody that you think is making a difference in the world and giving back to the community and being a part of that positive programming. I know one of the reasons that you were selected, Dr. Anderson, is because you really have a heart for the next generation. You want to mentor those students right now that could be the next Oprah Winfrey in 20, 30, 40 years down the road. Talk about the way that you've been able to come alongside the next generation, whether it's through internships or just encouragement. Why do you have a heart for helping the next group that's coming up?
Well, you know, I can't help but remember the words of a professor that I had many years ago. And he was asked one day by one of the members of the class who said something like this. Said, Professor, you have the opportunity with your skills and your abilities to be rather a big name out there. Why aren't you doing that as compared to here in the classroom with us? And I remember his response. He said, I'd rather be a kingmaker than be a king. And I loved those words. And in some ways, I'd like to see the role that I've been given as that, to be in a place where I can help young people and lift them up and just kind of be behind the scenes, seeing how their skills and abilities can be put to use for positive purposes.
My next question was about Walt Disney and the power of a dream, and somebody that has impacted our society so greatly, especially in the entertainment industry. And you think about Walt Disney, and he says it all began with a mouse.
Yeah,
Along the lines of encouraging the next generation who could be the next Walt Disney, what are your thoughts on just the power of dreams and never giving up?
Wow. Well, when you see Walt Disney and how his work impacted me as a boy, there were some heroes. And again, I'm going to date myself and say I remember Davy Crockett. And I remember as a boy, I don't think I ever managed to get the coonskin hat, but what a hero that man was. And Walt Disney was always, I think, seeing what he did as impact. In fact, I remember reading someplace that he had talked about how the work of the media does impact the life of young people. And so that was a concern that he had, a concern that wouldn't you love to see it more and more in the media world today.
Fantastic. Dr. Anderson, thank you so much for sharing with us today a bit of your story. You are a hero to many, and that's why you're being featured today. So continue the good work.
Oh, thank you, Megan. You're a blessing to me.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. And if you know anybody out there, like a Dr. Anderson, who you would like to see highlighted in this Hero Cam Spotlight feature, I want to give you the proper information. Please email herocam@scottcarneymedia.com. Again, that's herocam@scottcarneymedia.com. We look forward to sitting down with someone who you consider a hero and continuing to highlight the people who are making a positive difference in our world. Thanks for joining us today. We'll see you next time.